Primordius is the 8th encounter in the Throne of Thunder. Throughout the entire fight, adds will move towards the boss, buffing him if they reach him. If you manage to kill them before they get to the boss, they'll leave a void zone that will potentially buff a player, but let's just go into his first few abilities first before we get into the adds. Primordial Strike is a front cone attack that deals a good amount of damage. This is casted every 20 seconds. Do not have the boss facing the raid when this is being used. It does a ton of damage and will need to be toughed out though by the tanks. Malformed Blood is a debuff that is applied to the tank. It is a dot that ticks every 3 seconds. It also buffs the player, increasing damage done to living fluids, which will be discussed shortly. This will require a tank switch at like 5, 6, or 7 stacks. Mutated Abomination is a buff the boss has that causes him to take reduced damage from any player who is not fully mutated by 75%. The boss's resource bar increases periodically, and whenever an ad reaches the boss, it'll also go up. If the boss gets to 100% on his resource bar, he will gain evolution and gives the boss one of the following random abilities. He will also gain a 10% increase to damage for each mutation. Gas Bladder causes the boss to deal a lot of damage split between raiders within 25 yards of the boss. You want a lot of people inside to split it. Ventral Sacs is a raid AoE that deals damage every second. Acidic Spines targets random raiders and deals damage to everyone within 5 yards of the raider. Pathogen Glands causes a debuff called Pathogen Glands on a random raider, which deals a good amount of damage every second for 10 seconds. Healers need to power through this. Erupting Pudicles causes the boss to chuck projectiles to random parts of the area. They will explode and deal damage to raiders near them after a few seconds. Metabolic Boost increases the boss's attack speed and reduces the boss's cooldowns by 50%. Thankfully, Blizzard has showed some mercy in the fact that the boss can only have 3 of the mutations at one time. So as mentioned before, there are adds throughout the fight. Living Fluids are the red blobs that move towards the boss. When they reach the boss, they will increase the energy bar of the boss. The adds cannot be slowed or stunned, and they will leave behind one of 2 void zones. A mutagenic pool is the zone that provides a buff. This will increase the boss's energy if they get to him as well, but people will get good mutations if they stand in them. Volatile pools are the purple pools and will continue to move towards the boss and buff him if they reach him. They also heal the boss if they reach him for I believe 10% of his health. So don't kill an ad if it's too close to the boss. Standing in this pool will give a harmful mutation to the player. So the mutagenic pool can provide 1 of 4 buffs when stood in. Thick Bones increases all stats by 5%, Clear Mind increases mastery by 10%, Improved Synapsis gives 10% increased haste, and Keen Eyesight gives 10% increased crit. If you reach 5 stacks of any particular mutation, like Thick Bones for example, then the buff will become harmful and it will reduce stats instead of buffing you. What I mean by this is the mutations are random, so you can get stacks, you can have multiple stacks in any one of the 4 categories there. Reaching 5 stacks of the buffs total, so amongst all of them, will grant fully mutated for 2 minutes. This will make you look like one of the Sarok and deal full damage to the boss, and the buffs will reset their durations on you. On the flip side, touching any of the mutagenic pools will now debuff you if you're fully mutated. Some of the debuffs that you could get are Clouded Mind, which reduces mastery by 20%, Fragile Bones reduces all stats by 10%, Dulled Synapsis reduces haste by 20%, and Impair Eyesight reduces crit by 20%. So now let's just quickly fly over the strategy involved throughout the fight. The tanks will need to face the boss away from the raid and switching when they reach 5 or 6 or 7 stacks of the Malformed Blood. Kite the boss slowly around the room. This will make the adds behind the boss easier to deal with, although he'll be running into the ones in front of him. The off tank should be killing any adds with the DPS. Healers just need to go ham, smacking their keyboards throughout the fight. Ventral Sacs will require a lot of effort, however, and Pathogen Glands will start pounding on someone's health bar, so be ready. Also, don't dispel anyone. It will remove everything from the player. The only time you should dispel is if someone has really messed up and has a bunch of harmful buffs on them. DPS, if you aren't fully mutated, then you need to be killing the adds. Once you are fully mutated, you need to switch to DPSing the boss. The adds will spawn from the pools at the edge of the room, so you could have the DPS split up and watch different pools until they get mutated, although that's really up to the raid leader and what they want to do. Everyone needs to spread out during Acidic Spines and dodge the falling projectiles from Erupting Pustules. I would lust once you have a large amount of people mutated. The range timer on this fight is 8 minutes, so DPS needs to be optimal. That's all you need to know to join the X-Men. Good luck, Adventurer.